everybody, it's Ruthie. Okay, so let's say you want to move to Japan and you want to live here, okay? The main advice that I can give is be bold, okay? And bold, there's lots of different meanings to the word bold, and I think everybody takes it maybe in a different way. But when I say bold, I mean be ready to dive in based on trust, okay? I noticed that a lot of people from the US, at least, from where I'm from, want to think about like a lot of details before they start. So they might want to know, okay, what is my exit? Obviously you can think about things on your own. Like, what is my exit strategy? What would I plan to do? How am I going to sell my company? All that kind of stuff. Or you're like, for instance, what percentage are you going to take? What percentage am I going to take? Like, those kind of considerations, I guess, are okay in a business plan. But in Japan, it really doesn't work that way. In Japan, it's much more, do I trust this person? Like, when I speak to this person, are they asking enough about me? Are they asking enough about what they would be able to do for my company as much as I'm asking what I might be able to do for theirs? Okay, so that's a really important point, right? A lot of times, other companies and things, especially when you're a small company, will be kind of like draining you, kind of like figuring out how they can sort of use you for their benefit. But I've noticed one really, really important sort of litmus test for doing business with someone is to listen to how much they're actually asking about you. How concerned are they about you? And if they're not concerned, like if you don't feel like they're trying to create a win-win where both of you benefit, then you need to be bold and you need to just sort of step back. There's no obligation. You don't have to continue anything. You just say, well, I'm busy with the other project, so I don't think I can take this forward. Never burn bridges is another really important point. So whenever you separate from someone or some company, it would always be, it might not be on perfect terms, but it would never be something where if somebody else asked that person about you, they would say, oh my gosh, don't ever work with them, that you're totally untrustworthy. You never want that to be said, right? So you always want to figure out a way to, sort of like edge away from something without making it really clear. And that gets me to my second point. So bold is the first one. My second point would be keeping things vague, all right? In Japan, the minute you start to try to ask for a yes or no answer, or the minute you start to ask for clear direction too early, that's when you're gonna get a no, okay? Because in Japan, and I've actually grown used to this so much that I also prefer this way of doing it. In Japan, it's kind of like, if it seems too risky to even start, much better not to start at all. Or not too risky, like more than 50% chance that this is risky. Most Japanese companies or Japanese, I think a lot of it, maybe individuals, you can't generalize with the individuals, but the trend in Japan would be not to do it from the first place. So keeping things very vague is another really important thing. So bold is one. Bold is where, to me, it's kind of like having guts, to me, it's like sort of going with your gut, okay? And being bold in the sense of, okay, let's try this. When you think it's going to be really good, without trying to make all the details clear from the get-go, okay? You say, all right, I'm willing to try. And over time, you will learn how to gauge. How much do I give? How much do I not give? How much do I invest in time in this? How much don't I invest time in this? So bold and keeping things vague is really important. So what's the case for all of you guys coming to Japan, okay? I really believe that in this day and age, Japan is an extremely viable option for anybody who wants a great place to live and a great place to work, okay? I'll just give you one point that sort of backs up my idea. There's one data point, and I guess it's another data point, but then also something that I kind of expect to happen. So this is based on 2020 October, okay? So last year October, the kind of visa that increased in Japan. So basically, any gaikokujin, any non-Japanese people have to have a visa, obviously, just like the U.S. to work and live in Japan, right? So the only type of visa that increased in Japan in 2020 during the COVID was the permanent visa. So the entire amount of non-Japanese in Japan decreased by 1.6%, okay? And when you look at the numbers, 1.6% is about what you would expect if there could be no study abroad students. There's a lot of students that come to Japan to study. So obviously, for obvious reasons, they could not come. So the study abroad students went down. And then a lot of the specialist kind of visas, like for instance, construction work, things like that, that also went down. So 1.6 or 1.3% decrease in non-Japanese living in Japan. The only type of visa that increased is the permanent visa, which means, and I have a lot of people around me, I already have the permanent visa, but I have a lot of people around me who during COVID, this is an opportunity for us to really rethink what we're doing, right? Like, is this the place I want to be? Is this the place I want to stay? Is this the kind of career I want to continue? So obviously, there were a lot of people that decided, yes, I'm going to stay in Japan. I am going to switch my less than permanent visa to a permanent visa. This is when I'm going to do it. And a lot of people have done it. Then the other important data point to think about is Japan has under 3 unemployment rate percentage. So under 3%. So last time I looked, it was like 2.4% unemployment, okay? So unfortunately for Japan, they've got a huge population. It's actually an aging population with not enough people to work, okay? So that opens up a lot of opportunity because there's also not enough Japanese population to fill all of those places. So if you can figure out where your specialty would be, are you a teacher? Do you work in the medical field? All these different categories that you can look on the Japanese government website, but these different categories for these 5-year visas that you can get, well, in order to get the visa, you do have to gain employment. So it would be a nice time to start sort of looking around for what kind of employment you can find, okay? So basically the jobs are here. It's kind of like my Sony Bank job because I consult for Sony Bank, and I would say for them, yeah, the process is kind of fukuzatsu, right? Complicated. But once you're using the product, it's fantastic. So I would say the same thing about visas in Japan. The process is complicated. If it was super easy, lots of people would be getting visas. Trust me. So the process is complicated. You really have to do your research. But once you get it, in Japan, I mean, so many people are surprised with the kind of medical insurance. Basically, it's all covered. I mean, it's taken out of your pay, but you're pretty much covered with medical here. It's not a big expense. Well, I mean, it is it's not cheap, but it comes out of your pay, and it depends on how much income you have. So the medical health insurance system here is really good. Infrastructure is fantastic. Obviously, Japan has always had lots of natural disasters. So as the earth goes through this climate change, I feel like there's a lot of aspects of Japan that make it quite resilient to natural disasters. I mean, this country is a volcanic country, right? So constantly facing natural disasters over millennium, like forever. So I feel like in terms of preparedness, this is quite a good country. And because they have so many natural disasters, they've invested tons of money in infrastructure. So you don't really see things like catch people off guard here. I mean, look at, the tsunami and the 3/11 triple disaster that we had. Yeah, that was more than what anybody expected. Now we can't really expect any certain level. So it's kind of like, red alert for everything. So now when it rains a little bit hard, or when the weatherman says, or weather person says, We're going to get a lot of rain, like the most we've had in the last 10 years or whatever. I mean, they're already telling us, okay, we need to evacuate and go to the evacuation center, and they have evacuation centers everywhere and very well set up and organized. So in terms of peace of mind living here, totally great. And then I would also say, you know, obviously the Japanese language is really important. So as soon as you get over here, you would want to start learning Japanese and then just interacting with Japanese people, and you slowly get it. One thing I found recently, if you want to look at the Yokohama City homepage, you'll see a startup visa. So the Japanese government, the federal government, has instituted this like effort to get more non-Japanese entrepreneurs to Japan. And I noticed Fukuoka's on there, Yokohama's on there, you know, different municipalities or prefectures or cities in Japan have signed up to be the recipient of these entrepreneurs from overseas, like literally not people living in Japan. So what they've done is they've sort of set up this kind of, they give you a 1-year visa right from the beginning, and they give you all this advice, and they pay for part of your expenses and stuff, and they're really encouraging entrepreneurs to come move to Yokohama or Fukuoka or whatever else is on that list. I think that's an incredible opportunity. So specifically, what would I suggest is as soon as COVID is clearer and you can now come back into Japan, I would encourage you to come to Japan. And then, like, for instance, Yokohama City has set up this, like a Sodan Center, it's called, where you can ask advice about this entrepreneur visa. So you would come as a tourist. Obviously, you're not going to do any work, but you come on a tourist visa, and you would do some due diligence. You would go to these different cities that have this program and, you know, do Sodan consulting with them and see if this might work for you. And I think that that would be a fantastic way to come into Japan besides just getting a full-on job. Maybe in the next video, I'll explain why Japanese companies hesitate hiring internationals like us, and how you might be able to explain yourself so that they would feel a little bit more sure of hiring you. Because if you don't want to do the entrepreneur visa, you need to get this thing called the Certification of Employment, the COE, in order to get your visa. So you kind of need to get hired. So if you were going to come to Japan for 1 month or 2 months on the tourist visa and sort of look around to see what opportunities are here, you would definitely want to do some research. And I will give you lots of advice on maybe what you could include in your conversations with these possible employers or partners in Japan that will really make them feel reassured that you're very much committed to this. After 33 years of being here, I've seen lots of ways to make it not work and then other ways to make it work. So I would love to give everybody advice on this, because I'd love to welcome everybody to Japan. We need you. Japan's economy is very strong. It'll probably get stronger. I mean, it's a really great place to live. It's just a matter of figuring out, you know, how to do it if you wanted to come here. So I'll try to do some more videos about this, and I hope I'm answering questions. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments, and I will try to include that in my next video. Okay,